Hey guys, so I'm here with Master Chris Weir, who's gratefully agreed to answer some questions regarding what it takes to have a black belt attitude. So Master Weir, thank you for your time.
Absolute pleasure, my friend. Absolute pleasure. I believe it's still Friday morning, and I'm still fresh as a daisy. So
Lovely.
hopefully, we'll find out what's going on in my head, and it should be lots of fun.
Fantastic. So I'm just hoping you can share with everybody your martial arts journey to date. I know it's quite extensive, so I won't go into that. I'll let you go into that. But basically, how long did it take you to achieve your black belt and black belts, and what's your journey to date?
Okay, so it's a bit of a funny one, mine actually. I started martial arts. I grew up in a town, Rockhampton, that is a great town as a kid to grow up in, but it can be a great teacher in the way of resilience and not bullying, but having to stand up for yourself and make your mark. And it was quite early in the days where my father decided that as a young guy I should probably start martial arts. And believe it or not, I didn't actually agree with it at the beginning. I was 8 years old, and my father dragged me to judo, and he introduced me to my first sensei, Grandmaster Bruce Simpson, who was this 6'6" guy with a big hairy chest and an absolute monster and very intimidating. And he taught me judo till I was actually brown black tip. So I actually didn't get to my black belt in judo, but I was close enough. But I learned some fantastic information, and it was the first part of my journey. From that, I actually went into karate because it became apparent to me that my great love was striking. And I actually went through with this right up into second degree black belt. And that was a great experience for me. I loved karate, and I still do love karate. It was soon after that I actually ventured into what we now know as Taekwondo. And I'm a current fourth degree black belt in that. And starting to train and look towards my fifth degree for next year. And at the moment, I've started a new journey, and I'm a blue belt 2 tips in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So I'm probably all up. I'm about 40, maybe about, by the time I had some time off, maybe about 45 years experience. Does that sound right? No, about 43 years experience in martial arts. And I'm only at the beginning of my journey as far as I'm concerned. So, yeah, about 44 years young in the world of martial arts.
There you go. Lots of experience. That's good. And you've obviously had quite an extensive journey, as you've just said. So what would you say, if you can nail it down to one thing, or possibly 2 or 3, but the biggest lesson that you've learned on your journey so far? I'm sure there's many, but what would you say possibly the biggest one that you've learned?
Okay, well, wow, that's a crazy question. I've learned so many. Like one of my sayings, I've got this written up all over my whiteboards in the office, is master of nothing, student of everything. And that's something I totally believe in, and that if there was one thing that I've really learned through martial arts, it's probably that, is that even though I'm given the title of master at the moment, it's my journey is not about of ever, and I hope it never happens, ever achieving really what I want. It's about always being hungry and looking for new information. There's always another rock, and if there's one thing in martial arts I've learned, there's always another rock to be turned and to have a look underneath it. Obviously there's little things that we pick up. There's resilience, there's patience, there's to be confident in oneself, and to be understanding of others. These are great things that, lessons I've learned through martial arts. But I'm honestly, the biggest lesson I've learned is that, the journey is only just begun, and thank God for that, because I believe that just in life, if we knew everything, why would we bother getting up in the morning and having a look around, So I think one thing martial arts has taught me is that the journey is long, sometimes not very thankful. Sometimes it is thankful, but it's never ending. And that's one thing I've learned, and thank God for that. Thank God for that. Yeah, I make a promise to myself that I learn something new every day. Every day. And that's one thing martial arts has taught me, to be acceptance of new things in my life. And just as Bruce Lee said, water, it doesn't smash against rocks, it finds its way around. And I think knowledge is the same thing.
Very good. I think sometimes we possibly, as instructors, do our students a disservice by saying, get your black belt, get your black belt, get your black belt, like that's the end. But I think it's the start of what is next.
Yeah, best way to kill a dream is to put an ending to it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Put an ending. The dream should just keep going. The best way, to kill any progress, in life, is to have an ending to it, isn't it? How many times have we sat down watching what you thought is the best movie ever, and then they do something stupid by end the movie and roll the credit, and we're not ready for the movie to go on, right? So
exactly. And you kind of touched on a few points in my next question, but what would you say is the best quality, or again, top 2 or 3 that a black belt needs to have, or that a black belt is, or a black belt develops?
Wow. Okay, so if I was to put thought into this, if I was, and look, you got to remember, guys, is that not every round peg will fit in a square hole, and vice versa, right? So I'm going to have to give you a couple of little different aspects on this. So if I was a young guy again, if I was a young teenager again, or a junior black belt, then I would look for different things in that than I would if I was maybe a senior or open black belt. And then again, added to that, maybe a mature or elderly black belt, right? So we've got different things here. So if I was a junior black belt, one of the main things I'd be looking for there, would be resilience. It have to be resilience. We talk so much about bullying. We talk so much about gaining confidence in ourselves, but we're always, as a person in life, especially a younger person, going to deal with external forces coming against us, whether it be verbal, physical, or emotional. We're always going to be dealing with these things. A young kid going to school, especially high school these days, dealing with the pressures of having to get good marks to go into uni, dealing with the pressures of having that social interaction with their friends, and understanding the meaning of that, and how that shapes their life for the future. There is so much pressure there. And it is easy to fold underneath this, like we see students and juniors doing all the time. But I think as a black belt, it's learning resilience to deal with this, taking a breath and finding your way through it. Because, let's be honest, guys, there's no quick fix, is there? There's really no quick fix to this. Sometimes we really do just have to wear this thing down, and the only way we can do that is purely with resilience, Hey, look, I want to tell you things like, we need to, as a black belt, we gain confidence, we gain respect for one another and things like that. I think more we do that as a byproduct of just training hard with your friends and with your training partners. I think this happens anyway. I think respect, you don't need to be a black belt to be, to show respect. I think you can be a yellow belt, a purple belt, green belt, or pink belt. I don't think that's something that comes with just being a black belt. I do believe that as a black belt, resilience is a big one. I think that's a big one, to accept that there are always going to be things that push against you, but have the courage and to be brave enough and look at yourself and say, you know what, I failed today, but tomorrow is a different day and I'm going to keep pushing. So I think as an older black belt or a more mature black belt, or what we call a senior or open black belt, the game's still the same. The pressures of that are upon us as a junior are still there as an adult. I think it's more of a mind game, but as an older black belt, I think we're at a point in our lives where we're probably dealing with more, not mental issues, but maybe mental issues and emotional issues within ourselves. We're probably looking for answers. And I think as a black belt, as an elderly person, I think we're probably having to deal with ourselves more as an enemy, and not the external forces, if that makes sense. So
Cool.
yeah, I hope that
great.
answers.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. And yeah, I realize, you know, I'm in the same position as an instructor. It's not just one thing. We all know that it's not just one thing, but it's just like, if there's one thing that's maybe a bit above the others, resilience. Question without notice. So with resilience, what is it about martial arts, or why is martial arts so good at resilience compared to, say, I don't know, football? I know you surf. Compared to surfing, would you say that surfers have resilience, or that football players have resilience? I'm sure some of them do at a high level, but what is it about martial arts where resilience is just, it's built in?
It's built for it. I'll tell you the truth. There's people that don't understand, right? This is what they don't get about martial arts. Okay, so you go to a game of football, and kids start football very early. They start soccer, they start tennis. I don't care what it is, right? I don't care what it is. If you're playing a game Saturday morning, you either win or you lose. Okay, you win or you lose. It's 50-50. Okay, you'll often hear about teams that win every time, and they'll go all the way to the grand final, and they'll win, right? They'll win. Whether they learn something from that, I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. Yeah, they learn how to win. Yeah, that's basically what they're learning. There's obviously, they're going to learn teamwork in there. They're going to learn friendship. They're going to learn confidence in the fact that every time they finish a game, they're going to feel good about themselves. Okay. As someone who's done the journey and been in it for 40 years now, I'm a great believer in this. Now, we've heard this before, right? That there is a lot in losing, more in losing than there is in winning. Okay. Now, I'm a big believer in this, and I'm a big believer that within our dojo, or the place we train, that is your place of not necessarily winning. Okay. I don't want you to win there. And I'm not saying I want you to purposely lose. What I'm saying is that within martial arts and the place that you train, that's where we go to explore the places that aren't necessarily feeling nice. Okay. Now, why is this important? We learn to lift our feet. Okay, we learn to lift our feet because stubbing your toe hurts. Okay, it hurts. All right. We learn. Let's say, we learn to look twice across a road because getting hit by a car hurts. Okay, so all the things that teach us are not necessarily friendly teachers or friendly experiences. These are things that break us down a little bit, maybe hurt every now and then, and maybe take us to places that are a little bit uncomfortable. Now, martial arts is one of these things. Yes, there's great aspects to it. You're going to find friendship. We're going to get confidence. You know, you're generally, if you've got a great instructor, that we all do, then you're going to have fun there. And these are good things. But if that instructor's doing their job, if that instructor is helping you with your journey, they're going to challenge it. They're going to challenge it. And I mean, not just once a month. I mean, every time you go to class, all right, that instructor is going to challenge you in a way that, you know, maybe you're going to feel, okay, I need to improve, or maybe today wasn't my day. But if we keep on giving you that, what do we call it these days? That participation. Yeah, that's the way to say. Yeah, that's it. You've got me before on these things. Then what are we going to learn? Now, martial arts is built for this. I say to my students all the time, we train in this room, our dojo. This is the place where it's okay to be upset. It's okay to be frustrated, and it's okay to cry. But it's also the best place to learn. Okay. Now, martial arts isn't always about victory. Okay. It's about growth. And growth only comes from struggle. And that's the truth. There you go.
Good. That's great. Excellent. Now, you've already covered off a lot of my other questions, but obviously this time of year, start of the year, lots of new students into our classes. One tip, I guess, whether it, you know, possibly maybe for different ages, but first day, brand new white belt, what's your tip? What's your tip for them?
What's my tip for a brand new white belt? Do you know? Oh man, I wish if I could go back to one thing. To this day, I wish I could harness my white belt. Is it a white belt or is it a black belt? But that moment, I fell in love with the journey that I was on. Okay, now I'm a white belt. I go to a class. I'm nervous, right? I'm nervous. I'm not too sure who I'm going to be training with. I don't know the instructor. Are they friendly? Are they grumpy? I don't know. But it's my first class. And then suddenly, halfway through that class, or maybe at the end of the class, maybe it's just at the beginning, I have what I call my white belt moment. My white belt moment is when suddenly I throw my first kick and I realize I'm pretty good at this. Or maybe I throw my first couple of punches and I go, I'm pretty good at this too. And suddenly this feeling of confidence, suddenly this feeling of I'm on the right journey comes upon me. Now, if I was to give you, right, one bit of advice as a white belt, try never to forget it. Never to forget it, all right? Because that is going to be the memory that helps you through the times. And maybe you're struggling. Maybe you're a brown belt and you're finding things a little bit hard. Just remember back to when you were a white belt, yeah? And it was that white belt moment that gave you the whole motivation to actually get to brown belt, or maybe to keep training to black belt. So that's my advice. My other advice, the most obvious, it's not going to happen overnight, but not every good thing does happen overnight, right? We need to put in, we need to train, but it's going to happen. If you wear something down enough, it eventually is going to happen. Will it happen in 3 years? I don't know. Will it happen in 5 years? Definitely, I don't know that one either. But it doesn't really make a difference. Just keep training, keep wearing it down, keep enjoying it, and keep accepting the fact that you're not going to win every day. And I promise you, at the end of it, the journey will be yours and you'll get there. Hopefully, yeah?
Hopefully.
Well, the journey never ends. And that's, that's another thing, isn't it?
Exactly. So, and I think as well, like in these, I sound old now, I'm saying kids these days, but kids these days, they're all about the instant gratification. And I think if there's anything that means that there is not instant gratification, it's martial arts. Like it's literally, you don't just show up every day and get something good. Like you said, often there is times where you have a bad day or a bad week or a bad month, and you just gotta, or it's just really hard, and it's a really, really hard slog.
It can be, but the help with that one, Mr. Donaldson, is that one of the things that I've had to learn, and I love this saying, is look for the little things, right? Because we talk about gratification, we talk about that feeling that makes us feel good, the things that we are grateful for. But sometimes I wonder if not only as a martial artist, but even as a person, we look for the big things, and the big things take time. If we put a label on a black belt, even if we put a label on something big like buying a new home or a new house, these are big things, and these aren't things that are going to happen every day. You're not going to get a new house every day. You're definitely not going to get a black belt every day. And even though it would be nice, you're not going to get a new car every day. But there are little things that's going to happen in that one day that you may not notice unless you look for them. Now, there'll be things that you should be grateful for, as small as they are. But if we're not looking or being grateful for the small things that happen to us, we'll never see them. Okay? So I think when we're talking about gratification, maybe instead of having, looking for the forest, look for the trees. Pick out the trees.
Yeah, being a good finder. Attitude of gratitude. It's what we always talk about. Yeah.
And you'll be surprised how rewarding your journey will be if instead of looking for the big picture, you're looking for the smaller pieces of it. Okay.
Interesting. Yeah. Very good. Very good. So I guess stepping out of the dojo now a little bit, what would you say is the biggest way that being a black belt has helped you, or the lessons that you've learned as a black belt have helped you outside of martial arts? So, family, professionally, career, kids, socially, how has it helped you?
Okay. Well, as a younger man, as a younger man, I believe it or not, everyone looks at me now, and I get on here and I talk to people, and I'm a pretty, I've been told by people that I'm quite outgoing and things like that, in the way I talk and act. Believe it or not, this is not the guy that was around. How old am I now? 52. This is not the guy that was around 50, I don't know, 47, 46 years ago. This wasn't the same guy. Definitely wasn't the guy that was went to school for the first day. I was quite an introvert. I was very shy, and I had. I'm not saying that I had fear, but I was definitely reacting to fear in the wrong ways. I would pull back from things, and then eventually I probably lost confidence over that in so many aspects of things that we would take for granted now. Like, I didn't like to socialize with people. I always felt that I was being judged and things like that. And so I think martial arts has shown me a way of realizing that the person who I'm really there to maybe try and impress, or maybe to look to first, is not the external people but myself. And I think martial arts has taught me that. I'm a lot, I got to admit, as a 50-year-old person now, halfway through, let's call it halfway through their journey, I'm quite a happy person these days. I'm very grateful for what I've got, and where I am, and definitely where I'm going. And I think martial arts has been a big one in that. I'm not saying I'm patient, and I hope there's a part of me that's never patient. I believe that if I want something, I want it now, and I throw everything into it. I think patience is a great virtue if you are a 4-year-old, because it helps out mum and dad. But I think patience is actually a little bit overrated, in the way of, I believe if we get excited about doing something or wanting something, we should put our 100% effort into it. And that's probably what martial arts has shown me too. Like, the buck stops with me, no one else. If I want something or I want to achieve something, it's purely up to me. I can make up, I can justify and make excuses why things don't happen. But at the end of the day, as a black belt, if I don't get up and do it, it won't happen. And these are things that I suppose I've realized now. Was there a magic list that was read out to me of what I can do now because I'm a black belt? I wish there was, but there wasn't. I think through life, through martial arts, I've learned to be definitely resilient. I mean, super resilient. I've learned that, everyone's got their own race, and it's far from me to judge it. And I think my journey, and hopefully, yes, will never be over. And every day I wake up and I look forward to expanding it. So, I know the question that you asked is a very pinpointed one, but, what has martial arts taught me? I don't know yet, because I haven't woken up tomorrow.
Still learning.
But I'm guessing, and I'm hoping that it teaches me something really cool, and I'm looking forward to it.
Excellent. Very good. Awesome. Well, I won't keep you much longer. Last question. I'm going to ask you to put your philosopher hat on. What would the world be like if everyone had the mindset of a black belt?
Wow. Oh my goodness. What would the world be like? Okay. All right. Well, now, this is my vision. You've obviously heard the story of the six, I told you this before, but the 6 blind men and the elephant. And there was a village, and everyone in it was blind, and they walked in an elephant, and they were asked to describe the elephant. And as they walked up to the elephant one by one, and they felt different parts of the elephant, they all had their own perspective of what the elephant should look like. One felt the leg, one felt the tail, one felt the trunk, one felt the ear. So they all had their different ideas. This is my idea. So it may not be the correct one, but this is what I think it could be. I'm visualizing a world with black belts of mostly understanding of others, understanding that no one is yet where they could be, but have got the potential to be much more. I think that as a world full of black belts, we are resilient, but understanding. I think understanding is a very big word. I think as a world of black belts, I just want to hear the word. I just keep going back to the word emotional growth. That's what I think. I think the words like ignorance, arrogance, stubborn, closed-minded don't exist. I think that's the most important one. I think words like open-handed, acceptance, gratitude, and love, respect. I think they're our main factors. I think that's what the world looks like when it's full of black belts.
Very good.
There you go.
Excellent. That's a fantastic answer. Appreciate it. Well, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. That's a whole lot of knowledge there that you've crammed in. I know you could talk for days. Absolutely. I'm not even joking. I know you could talk for days and share all your knowledge with us, but I appreciate your time today.
I have one.
Oh, yeah.
I was expecting one question from you, and I'm going to ask it for you.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Ready? How long does it take to get a black belt, Mr. Donaldson? I don't know.
It takes as long as it takes. Takes as long as it takes. Very good. All right. Well, thank you, Master Weir. Appreciate your time.
Not a problem, guys. Please, everyone, thank you so much. And remember, the most important skill that you can have is beginner's mind. Get back to training, guys. Have fun.
Thanks, sir.